Hello. Welcome on in. Today is, God, what is today? It's February 16th, 2022. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm gonna turn the volume down on the music just a touch. It's been a while since I've done one of these, just because I've been super busy. So we are gonna do a little bit of catching up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into the first story. This one is a touch outdated, but I think it's still worth bringing up. And that is Cyberpunk 2077's next-gen upgrade will include a 5-hour free trial. And it's actually, really quickly, that I opened the wrong one first. Cyberpunk 2077 next-gen update goes live, and it actually went live. It went live yesterday. Yeah, February 15th. So it would have been yesterday. Cyberpunk 2077's next-gen update is finally here. Developer CD Projekt Red announced Tuesday. Again, that would have been yesterday. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X optimized versions of the sci-fi action RPG are now available as part of the new patch 1.5 for Cyberpunk 2077, which also includes updates for the existing versions of the game on Google Stadia, PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One. During a live stream on Tuesday, CD Projekt Red developers unveiled first footage of Cyberpunk 2077 running on PS5 and Xbox Series X and detailed high-level changes to the game. The developer also released some extensive patch notes for the game's new patch, which are available below, and there's quite a bit. I think there's quite a bit. So I'm sure that we can look at the actual stats. Not stats, the actual patch notes, go through those a little bit. I do want to preface this by saying I never actually played Cyberpunk, but I know plenty of people who have, and everyone that I have talked to that played it really liked the game. They personally didn't run into a lot of the problems that, a large part of the audience did experience. I was going to wait until the next gen upgrade and a lot of those bug fixes got fixed because I didn't want to end up running into a lot of the game breaking stuff. But from my understanding, it sounds like the game itself is really fun. It's a pretty good game. With, if you don't end up having an experience where the game just fucking breaks. But continuing, CD Projekt also released a free limited-time trial version of the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk 2077. The free trial will be available to download and play until March 15th, and players will have the option of carrying over their progress to the full version of the game. And there's quite a few patch notes. Introduced 2 graphics modes on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, performance mode and ray tracing mode, and a bunch of notes on what that entails. Implemented the use of the adaptive triggers on PS5 controllers, of course, which sounds pretty cool. Controller's built-in speaker is used for holo calls, text messages, and everything that happens in V's head. Additional content. I feel like a lot of this stuff is going to make more sense if... I feel like a lot of this stuff would make more sense if you actually played the game. A lot of this stuff doesn't sound like anything... It's gibberish to me, for the most part, just because I don't have the context of what the experience was before. But it's a large list. Like, just scrolling through here, there's a huge list of stuff that was updated. And there's probably more stuff on, like, the actual website, which I think there's a link to it here somewhere. Because I think they only go... We'll just scroll to the bottom. Stadia specific. Oh no, it looks like this is the full. Might be the full list. You can probably see the full list over on their actual website. Here we go. So here's the actual patch notes. And I'm going to add this to just really quickly go back to just me. I am going to put all of this stuff in the show notes. So I never actually played, like I was saying before, I've never actually played Cyberpunk 2077. I've been waiting for the PS5 update. So it's definitely on my playlist to play at some point. And I'm debating if I want to stream it or not. I think it would be cool too. It would be my first experience, obviously. Sorry, one second. I'm going to go ahead and copy this over into the show notes. Patch notes. So if you're watching this over on YouTube, the patch notes will be in the description down below. And then really quickly, just to add to this story, there is a 5-hour, what did they say it was? A 5-hour next gen up. Whoops. A 5-hour free trial. So this is Bryant Francis over at GameDeveloper.com. CD Projekt Red has rolled out the PS5 and Xbox Series S editions of Cyberpunk 2077 a little over a year after the game's chaotic initial launch. These versions of the game include numerous quality of life improvements, better artificial intelligence, and numerous bug fixes. They also include a major marketing push from CD Projekt Red, a free trial of the single-player game for newer consoles. The trial will allow players to push through 5 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 content. If players want to purchase the game after their time with the trial, their save progress will carry over. So I feel like this is a good sign that CD Projekt has listened very carefully to all of the backlash, because rewind to, and I would plug my own article. I mean, my article back on BigSliceGaming.com was, and I'm not going to plug it just because I don't have the website live anymore, just because I don't have the time to dedicate a lot of time to. I don't have the time to dedicate energy to it, and it wasn't worth continuing to pay for. All that stuff is there. I could actually bring it up. Let's see if I can find it. www.bigslicegaming.com. Website expired. Oh, I'd have to log in as an owner. Continue with Google. Did it work? Here we go. Nope, not marketing. I did have a news. Patch notes. Never mind. I thought I had like an article on this, but I guess not. Anyway, so anyone who's been following the whole Cyberpunk stuff knows what happened, but to get people kind of caught up, you know what? I'm just gonna read directly from this site because it's gonna sum it up a little better than me. You might recall that the initial versions of the game forced Sony to yank the PlayStation 4 version off of its online store for a few months, though you can still grab a physical copy of the game. You could still grab a physical copy of the game. This free trial seems to reflect the public bruising CD Projekt took for the rough release. Why is the trial only available for next-gen versions of the game? The free next-gen trial is only available for next-gen consoles in order to let console players see for themselves how Cyberpunk 2077 has been updated for those platforms before they commit to buying anything. Which is, and they even go on to say, it's a solid move on CD Projekt's part, especially with the knowledge that demos like this can cut into game sales. But considering how CD Projekt's financials have been boosted by sales of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt years after the game's initial release, it's in their best interests to position Cyberpunk 2077 as a similar product. So this is a really good... obviously, this is a good... I'm agreeing with this. It's good that they're taking that initiative because of all of that backlash. This gives them a really solid opportunity to be transparent about the quality of this next gen update, as well as allow players to try the game first. A lot of stuff that's going to help them build back trust. And they still have a long way to go because that launch was oof. They still have a long way to go in my opinion, but I think this is a solid start to that, as well as the tremendous amount of work that's been going into patching it up. And I look forward to actually giving it a try at some point. I might stream the trial at some point in the coming weeks before it comes offline. And maybe I'll stream that. I'll think about it. If you guys want to watch me, if you guys want to watch me try Cyberpunk for the first time, then let me know. Then I'll stream it. I don't even know if I'm gonna play it. My interest in it has just kind of dwindled just because there's so many other things that are coming out that I want to prioritize. That Cyberpunk just kind of sort of fell into my backlog, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give the trial a try at least and see how it is. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next story. And I don't think I actually read this article myself. I just read follow-up articles to it. But this one's a bit of a doozy. Oh boy. You know what? We're going to read a different article for this, just something that sums it up a little bit. But I will link the original story. But report... Team17 staff detailed poor working conditions. Past and present employees share mismanagement, salary woes, apathy towards sexual harassment claims. Just feels like it's yet another story of a beloved developer or publisher that... Look who's live. I am live. How's it going? We were just about to look into we just got done talking about the Cyberpunk stuff and doing... now we're talking about... well, let's just jump right over to the story. Whoops. I did not mean to open Xbox. Go away. Thank you. No, go away. What the hell? So we're going to jump into this one. Bit of a doozy. On the growing list of developers that... have shitty working conditions. An investigation into working conditions at independent publisher Team17 has unveiled instances of poor pay, long hours, and concerns about upper management spanning several years at the company. The report saw Eurogamer speak to 12 current and former employees across both its Wakefield and Nottingham offices, who confirmed that the company has been rapidly shedding team members as a result of the company's failure to address concerns. It also detailed the fallout following Team17's MetaWorms NFT project, which we talked about at some point last week. The original story is over on Eurogamer. Once again, if you're watching this over on YouTube later on, the article will be in the description. Continuing, the developer unveiled its MetaWorms project on January 31st, which was swiftly canceled one day later following a slew of criticism. Eurogamer reported last week that many teams within the company had no knowledge of the project prior to its public announcement. Staff told Eurogamer that the cancellation was shared in a town hall meeting, with employees likening it to a political apology, as they were told the project was planned as well as it could have been. There's a quote here saying, "If it was the people in the office who swayed them, if it had been the employees, they wouldn't have done it," said an employee, according to the Eurogamer article. "Instead, they did it, and they left it for a day and a half to simmer and see what would happen. It wasn't even that people might lose their jobs if developers pulled their games, or that the company was going downhill. It was that the managers were doing something so monumentally stupid without a thought for those who would actually bear the brunt of it. They didn't apologize to staff, even the community managers who were subjected to a barrage of abuse because of it. Oh boy. There is an update. Actually, let me continue with the article. It's as you can see, it's a pretty big article. But we'll continue here. Played Cyberpunk a lot last night to see. Here, let me bring up the chat here. I played Cyberpunk a lot last night to see what it was like at the end game. Basically, pretty good patch, but I probably won't keep playing it. Yeah, that's fair. And an ad break real quick. Oh, that's right. I forgot I have ads set up to be automatic now. Yeah, it's easier for me to manage. Plus, they're actually shorter than what I was normally doing. Typed up my thoughts in one of the Discords I'm on. I don't know if it's one of the Discords I'm in. Probably not. I'm in a lot. But yeah, I'm considering giving it a try. But anyway. So getting back to the Team17 story here. Employees told Eurogamer that they felt Team17 had signed too many games over the last couple of years, with some adhering to strict shipping deadlines, regardless of whether they're finished or not. Staff said that these concerns were raised toward higher-ups at the firm, but were not addressed. Members of the company's QA teams also described pay as, and really quickly before we go into this, I don't think this is necessary, but I do want to make a disclaimer that I work in QA myself, so I'm probably a bit biased when it comes to the shit that goes on in stories like this as far as QA goes. I just want to put that out there. But pay your QA. Decent wages, please. Members of the company's QA teams also described pay as low or terrible, with the base rate starting at around £16,000 and up to £19,000 for a senior QA role. Staff reported that the figure used to be even lower, starting at around $13K, though that has improved over the last 5 years. What is that? What is pounds to US dollars? Like, what's the difference? It's about $1.36 worth. Okay, so what was it? 13,000 pounds to dollars. Oof, that's what they're making in a year? Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty low. Yikes. That has improved over the last 5 years. Okay. Well, at least it's improved, but I don't know what the numbers are now. Recently, QA employees have asked for pay raises, but have not been successful. A staff member told Eurogamer that 10 people were willing to put forward cases for a salary increase. Another quote here. This is from the same employee. There were people who would have to skip meals to save money, people who would have to go into the office during the pandemic to reduce their bills, people who couldn't afford new clothes, people who got an emergency bill and were in their overdraft. We took it to management, and the second time we took it to HR. Nothing came of it. We were essentially told the wages you are being paid are fine. I can confirm they're not. People are struggling badly. Once again, this is all taken originally from the Eurogamer report. This is just a summary of it, and they Danielle Partis summarizes it a lot better than I ever could. The report also notes that annual bonuses had become a point of contention as employees had become accustomed to putting in extra hours in order to earn it. Bonuses were cut last year, some by more than £1,000, despite Team17 reporting record revenues in the recent years. Wonder where we've heard that before, where record profits lead to staff cuts or layoffs. I think there's a certain major publisher that is known for doing that. Staff were told that the underperforming first-party titles were the reason for the seasonal bonus slash. In other words, we're making record profits, but the game didn't do well enough, so you're not getting your bonus. We'll just add that to the pile of cash in our record profits. It's looking into... sorry, just catching up on chat here. I already beat it. That's like Starbucks money. Yeah, seriously. We all need to be paid more. No arguments here. I was looking into game testing for Konami here in Vegas, and the pay was supposed to be real bad, so I didn't even apply. Maybe Microsoft can turn that around. Who knows, though, all these soulless corporations. Honestly, I feel like the directions that Microsoft has been going in, I feel like maybe it's... I don't see how it could get any worse under Microsoft, honestly. Phil Spencer has definitely been pushing at least the Xbox side in a more positive direction. The part that I'm afraid of is what happens when he inevitably steps down as the head of Xbox. You know, he's not a god. He's not invincible. He's not what's the word I'm looking for? He's not going to live forever, and he's not going to work that job forever. That's the problem with consolidation, what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. Like Xbox is, I think things will get better, but pay-wise, I wouldn't hold my breath. Yeah, pay-wise, I'm not so sure. But yeah, that's the problem with consolidation, because the direction that Xbox is in right now is great. As it stands right now, I feel like it's a good thing to be under Microsoft in that context. The problem is who steps in when Phil Spencer leaves, because Phil Spencer's like a 1 in a million in terms of like he really does not give off the vibe that he's a soulless leader who's just about record profits. He cares about games, he cares about the players, he cares about the developers. At least that's certainly what he gives off. But like I was saying, he's 1 in a million. You rarely see something like that in a position like anyone like that in a position like that. So I'm very nervous about who takes over when he leaves. We can't forget that corporation's corporate. At the end of the day, it's still a corporation, and the important thing to corporations is making money. And I feel like Phil Spencer is different in that sense, but he's not going to be there forever. Someone else is going to step in, and unfortunately, it's more than likely that that person stepping in is going to care more about the money than about the games, which is going to make things uncomfortable and rough. But back to the Team17 story. Where were we? Let's see. Here we go. The report also notes that the annual bonuses had become a point of contention. Staff were told that underperforming first-party titles were the reason for the seasonal bonus slash. This is something greatly out of our control, another employee said. A lot of people relied on that. Even those who put in extra hours or worked to the extremes got a substantially reduced bonus. Another issue that the report highlighted was Team17's disparity when it came to encouraging staff to promote their work. One individual said that they'd been told their team couldn't promote the company because they weren't photogenic enough, which is a big oof. Staff also shared complaints regarding the company's HR department and detailed several instances where action wasn't taken where it should have been. Incidents including sexual harassment were reported to HR, with victims allegedly told to sort it out themselves. Another employee said that staff are now scared to report further issues to HR for fear of being gaslit. Report gave insight on how staff, Team17 CEO Debbie Bestwick, and shared instances of how she treats employees. Some staff described Bestwick as formidable, and that pressure from partners would trickle down to other departments at the studio. Things are going to get missed if you are that overworked, a staff member said, and when they are missed, you're going to be called up by Debbie. Part of that pressure has followed the company's decision to go public in 2018. Staff have said that the change led to increased overtime, rushed releases, and additional pressure on Bestwick to keep share prices up. And it goes on and on about that. And all of the Danielle's reporting on this is essentially to, seriously, is essentially kind of the main points of the actual report, which is over on Eurogamer. I recommend going over to Eurogamer to read the full report because it's pretty substantial. I didn't want to read the thing here. And I also don't want to finish reading Daniel Pardis's take on it because I realized I was essentially reading the entire article. And it's a long article, and I don't want that to... if you want to finish reading the article, I recommend clicking on the link so that her work gets supported over on the site. But yeah, so I guess add Team17 to the growing list of toxic workplaces. When I heard about that, honestly, it doesn't surprise me after the whole NFT thing with Team17, but what are you gonna do, I guess? Seems like game dev is problematic. Dude, tip of the iceberg. There's so many workplaces that are toxic as hell. It's workplaces are there's tons of workplaces that are toxic as hell. There's and even working in the industry, you hear stuff about other studios that isn't like super public, just because of naturally game development, people move around, so naturally you end up being friends or colleagues with people in other studios, and just because we work at one studio, and after working there for like 2-3 years, you have connections at multiple different studios just because people move around quite a bit. Real bummer. Yeah, it's just and it seems like it's that way with a lot of entertainment industries in general, creative industries in general. Is you have a lot of people who are very passionate workers, who get a little bit too controlling over creative insight, and that leads to their own problems, and it's rough. It can be rough. Money ruins everything. What can you do? Yeah. Could pay creative people a decent wage. That's one thing. Instead of giving it to the people who run the companies and don't create any of the work. But anyway, we talked quite a bit about. Actually, really quickly, to continue that story, I totally forgot there's a follow-up to that story. This is from GameDeveloper.com. This is Chris Kerr over on GameDeveloper.com. I guess greed ruins everything more. Like, yeah, greed. Yeah, really, greed is the problematic part of that. But Team17 did speak out about this. So coming over here, Team17 CEO pledges to pull things around after staff voice culture concerns. Team17 Digital CEO Michael Pattison has pledged to take action after employees spoke out about poor working conditions at the Worms developer. In an extensive report published by Eurogamer, Team17 staff decried the company's decision to push ahead with a controversial and now scrapped NFT project and complained of low pay, long hours, and increasing workloads. In response to the article, Pattison held a company-wide meeting to assure Team17 employees they were being heard. And this was also the same day. This would have been probably yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening that this came out. There's no timestamp on it, so I don't know. As reported by Eurogamer, which spoke with staff at the meeting, Pattison announced. Which spoke with staff at the meeting. Pattison announced the studio would be conducting an immediate pay review for those working in QA and sought to further distance the company from NFTs, describing them as totally outside of the principles and values we have as a company. I'm committed to taking action. I won't brush over anything that was said or ignore any of the points being made. It will all be thoroughly investigated, and you have my guarantee on that, commented Pattison. The chief exec also pledged to undertake, quote, an extensive review of how we build a business that better supports its employees, suggesting those in charge at the studio need to take a good, long, hard look at themselves. There was also an acknowledgement that Team17 has perhaps mismanaged its workload, with Pattison admitting the company is struggling to find a balance. As we grow, there is always going to be an increased need to sign potentially more titles, or refocus and sign higher quality titles with more commercial potential, he continued. And that's my focus. I'm trying to improve that ratio. I don't want to see us on a continual treadmill of just filling the pipe. And this is kind of rehashing some of the stuff from the article we were reading before. I guess greed ruins everything more. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to take him at his word. I don't know enough about Robert Pattison to know. Is that his name? Robert Pattison? Did I say it? Michael Pattison, excuse me. I'm thinking of Robert Pattinson. Right? Dude from Twilight? Anyway. I'll take him at his word. But that doesn't mean that I'm just going to accept that word. I want to see action come from what he was saying. I don't want it to be just another case of empty statements. So we'll definitely be following. He's Batman now. Oh shit, you're right. He is Batman. I totally forgot about that movie. Oh my god. I can't believe I forgot about that. I'm more of a Marvel person lately, but god damn it. I am going to go see that. We have my work is doing a thing where they're booking out a theater here in town to for all of us to go see it as colleagues, just go see that movie. We're all game developers, so we're all fucking nerds. So that's gonna be awesome. I'm excited to see that. Anyway, back to the topic. I want to see action happen from what Pattison had said, and I'm definitely going to be following up and talking about this in a future video as more comes out about that story, because yeah. I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. There's a shit ton more stories to talk about, but they're kind of... Oh, really quickly, I do have a few recommended reading. It is going to be in the description if you're watching this later on YouTube. But there's a few really interesting opinion pieces and articles that I read either today or during work the other day. Here's a really good one, and I'll read just kind of the opening of it. But it's called How the Pandemic Transformed the Role of Sponsored Content, Possibly Forever. This is by Marie Delisandre over at Games Industry at Biz, and this was actually a couple days ago on Monday. And in it, she kind of talks about how the pandemic it's in the title. She goes into Game Site's Adam Leib analyzes the evolution of video game related sponsored content and marketing budgets shift to digital in the absence of sort of in-person events like E3 and PAX and stuff like that, and sort of the insights on Twitch sponsored content and how that's handled in all digital world like this. It's a very fascinating read. I highly recommend it. Another one that I read that was a fascinating piece is Nintendo doesn't want to buy companies, but it may have to. This is an opinion piece by Christopher Dring, Nintendo over at gamesindustry.biz. Excuse me. Nintendo doesn't do mergers and acquisitions, but as the industry consolidates, it may need to protect what it's got. And it just kind of goes into Nintendo's history of, instead of buying companies, having sort of third-party partnerships with them, like Game Freak. They don't own Game Freak, but they partner with them for the Pokemon games. They don't own, they didn't own Rare back in the N64 days, and they don't own, is it Retro Studio? Do they own Retro Studio? I think they brought up Retro Studio at some point, I think. Yeah, HAL, Intelligent System, and Game Freak are three examples of games developers that are deeply connected to Nintendo, including the arrangements around the games they make. Difference between these studios and Bungie, however, is that they're genuinely independent. Nintendo doesn't own them. And he brings up comparison between the Sony acquisition and the Microsoft acquisitions and stuff. Another really good read. I highly recommend reading that. And then the last one is, I absolutely adored this game. Lessons learned from the success of Spiritfarer. If you haven't played that game, I highly, highly recommend playing it. I'm pretty sure it's on Game Pass now. If not, it is definitely worth the buy. It's a little bit like a post-mortem on it. A little bit more. It touches on a little bit more than just a general post-mortem. But kind of a reflection on the project as a whole. Another fantastic read. If you've played Spiritfarer, I highly recommend giving this a read. If you haven't played Spiritfarer, go play it and then give this a read. It is an amazing game, and that was a fantastic read. I read that earlier today, and I wanted to share that with you guys as a recommendation. Tried Spiritfarer but wasn't feeling it. I mean, that's fair. I played it right. Personally, I ended up playing it like right after a breakup, and I had just started getting. I was essentially on the mends after getting through sort of the worst parts of the breakup process, and I played this, and it was very cathartic because it's a game about dealing with death and grief, and I felt like I played it at a very good time in my life where I was sort of going through my own grieving at the time, and it was just, it hit at the perfect time, and now the music of it is just so, yeah, it was, didn't give it a fair chance. God damn it. Didn't give it a fair chance. I was more in the mood for like a roguelike or something, and it was opening with a lot of story. Yeah, I would give it another chance. I would give it a fairer chance. The fucking Greg emotes. But yeah, I highly recommend giving it another shot. Or don't. If you don't want to, then don't. Obviously, I'm not saying that you absolutely should if you don't want to. But if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. I might be biased just because I did play it at such a raw, a sort of raw and sensitive time in my life. Or not time in my life. I was going, like I said, I was going through a breakup, and it kind of hit at the perfect time because the game is about sort of about grief and about, moving on from death and making amends and stuff. and I was going through my own grieving process after a breakup, and it was a good it was really yeah, it was really good, and I love the soundtrack because of that. You got to try out you got to try out Infernax. Counter recommendation. Infernax. Why does that name sound familiar? What's Infernax? Infernax. How old is this game? Is it new? Came out in 2020. Infernax is the adventures of a great knight who returns to his homeland only to find it plagued with unholy magic. Is it a roguelike? Whoops, wrong screen. Just came out like on Monday or something. Are you sure? It says initially released on September 12th, 2020. Did it just come out on Switch? Wait, what? Am I looking at the wrong one? Infernax PC. What the fuck? This is the same game. Why does the initial... Google says the initial date was 2020. Hold on a second. Infernax launch trailer. PS4 YouTube 2 days ago. Why am I seeing two different dates? What the hell's happening right now? Yeah. Initial release date. Initial release date, September 12th, 2020 by Berserk Studio. What the fuck? There's got to be a description somewhere where it was initially released on some other platform. Right? I'm not going crazy here, am I? Whatever. Maybe Google's pulling from the wrong place or something. That's very strange. Maybe it was delayed? It could have been. September 12th, 2020. Unless it came out on... No, that doesn't make any sense. Alright, whatever. It came out 2 days ago. Released February 14th, 2022 on Steam. And launch trailers everywhere. Oh, wait a minute. It's on Game Pass? Oh, that's Arc. No, it's... Okay, Infernax is also on Game Pass. Well, shit. Add that to my list. I'm going to go to my ggapp.io and search up Infernax. I'll just show this screen. This is my GG account. Infernax. Am I not signed in? There. Want to play. Add to list. 2022 games. Dope. It is on my list. I need to add it to my actual, I have an Excel document. Game Rant isn't saying anything about any earlier date. I wonder if any other outlets wrote about that. Yeah, whatever. I put it in there. I'm gonna add it to my list. If it's on Game Pass, then I'll probably... Fuck it, I'll stream it at some point. All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode. I did show all that stuff. But anyway, if you are watching this on YouTube later on, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. If you want to watch this live, you can check me out over at twitch.tv/BigSliceGaming. And hopefully I will see you next time.